I'm Jennifer Ebolani. I am so excited to be with you and to start on this podcast. Initially, the idea of this was to have a place where I could document my journey for myself and to catalog my experiences along the way. But it's since evolved into so much more. I decided to share my experiences in hopes that some part of my story, big or small, would resonate with you and that maybe it would help you out on your journey. I wanted to give you any insight and offer my understandings, share with you any lessons and advice that I've picked up along the way, kind of like having a friend with you along for the ride, something that I wish that I had when I first started this journey years ago. The objective of this podcast is to be able to have an honest conversation about personal growth and life's changes, challenges, and experiences. We're going to be talking about our journeys through self-discovery and self-love. We'll discuss deepening our understanding of self-honesty and living fully in our purpose. Growing up, I was taught the old adage of getting good grades to get a good job to earn good money. And so that's exactly what I did. I did just that. I focused on studying hard. I went to a good school and I earned my degree in psychology, eventually graduating cum laude, so that I could get a good job working as a project manager, and went on to marry my college sweetheart. And together we started businesses and earned a great income. We were off to an amazing start. And then, plot twist! I stepped away from work to be a full-time stay-home mom. And now as a mom, I had to really think, what did that really mean to me? I wasn't simply a stay home and take care of the kids, handle the home kind of person. I realized that it impacted the way that I saw myself. And since I'm not earning an income, is any of this money really mine to spend? And since I'm not earning that income, what does that say about my value? I'd feel guilt around spending money on anything that wasn't for the kids or for the home. I'd start to feel shame for not financially contributing. And as if this suddenly made me less of a person. I was then hit with the realization that the old focus had led me to this sort of shell living, postcard-esque life. It looked great from the outside, but where was the substance, the joy, the emotional connections, the understanding of how to build a truly intimate relationship with friends, with associates, with family, my kids, my husband, myself? I took a step back and did a really honest evaluation of my current life experience. And I realized I had been going through my day-to-day life of doing chores and paying bills and running daily errands and performing household tasks. All of that just kind of running on autopilot. The focus was on surviving, but I wanted so much more. I wanted to thrive. I was living with this unsettled feeling, I was consumed with this burning question. Why does any of this matter? Why do I matter? And I started to notice that my husband, Kevin, would come home from work and I'd be so excited to see him having spent the day with the kids. And I was desperate for his attention and stimulating big dream conversations. And yet, he was exhausted from a long day of just being a long day of work and just wanted to be able to relax, unwind, and watch some TV. I realized quickly this wasn't us. This wasn't how we wanted to live or how we wanted to love each other. We were meant for so much more than just earning paychecks and paying bills. I wanted a life that was exciting, thrilling, and adventurous. I wanted to feel passion and impact and purpose. I'd catch myself wondering, how did I get here? I knew this wasn't my purpose, but if this wasn't it, then what is? Why am I here? What is my impact? I found myself chasing more, And while I thought I was completely grateful for what I have, I found this longing. I was still unsatisfied. There was this constant nagging from my heart's desires, my big dreams and grand visions. I'd see things happening for others, and while I wasn't jealous, I couldn't help but wonder, why not me? When would it be my turn? So then I shamed myself for wanting more, and I started to play small. Maybe you've wondered or felt these things too. That destructive thought of, who am I to have, do, or be these things? And worse still, did I deserve or earn it? I took these thoughts and went into great discussions with other teachers and coaches and advisors and friends, until one day, a colleague of mine curiously replied, "Who says you can't have, do, or be these things?" I sensed a reframe happening for me. I looked into how I was talking to myself. I saw that the thoughts that I was having really weren't truly mine. I became mindful of the thoughts. I looked into what I was consuming, the shows that I'd watch, the books that I wasn't reading, the people that I would talk to, and the ideas that were being shared, What was I adopting as my own? For example, I'd heard the saying, you can't keep a husband if you can't keep a house. Well, was that really true for me? Did I really believe that dirty dishes were a sign that my marriage was in trouble? I harbored the thought that in order to make money, it took a ton of hard work and constant sacrifice. But did I really believe that? Hadn't I met people who were happily wealthy and were not spending their days toiling away, sacrificing every single thing that brought them joy just so they could have a bigger paycheck? Or the saying, who says you can't have it all? But yet, hadn't I seen people who actually did? I started practicing more gratitude and viewing life through the lens of love and appreciation. I started to view myself and others differently. I wanted to see them, to understand them, connect with them. And as a mompreneur, I realized that I had to pivot. I had to pivot my business focus, my mindset, my personal practice, how I was living my day-to-day life. At that time, I was working as a business coach, and I began to see that success was more than just an income number, a title, or a position. All of that was secondary. I realized that my clients were saying that they wanted XYZ success, but what they really wanted was the feeling and experience that would come from that success. Success then wasn't a destination, it was a feeling. So is there a way that we could tap into that feeling right now? I started to notice that there was a common thread between my clients and myself too. We tended to justify our situations. Yet we are so much more than just a wife or just a mom or just a worker. The just allows us to play small, and in playing small, we hide all of our magnificence. And there is so much magnificence in all of us. The person who doesn't feel seen or appreciated at all. The person who has so much on their plate that they just don't know where to start. The person who has so much to share, but then shies away out of fear that they might be thought of as an imposter. Or like me, the person who tried and failed. We went for it and we chose to shoot our shot and we missed. And that's okay. But like me, we began to feel shame and went into hiding. So we start to just out of fear of being too much. I was working with a client on cultivating her self-worth, and she had these big, beautiful dreams, but she felt conflicted, asking herself, who am I to have these things? So I decided to share with her the story of the Golden Buddha, a story that helped me to understand so much of my journey. And the story is that there is a small town of monks living on a remote mountain, and they received word that from a traveler that was at the town at the base of the mountain, that it had just been raided and that the invaders were heading up to their village next. Now, being as the monks lived a very simple life, they actually didn't have very many things of significant monetary value, except for their giant golden Buddha statue. This huge, beautiful statue was as big as a house, made of pure gold, absolutely radiant. It was a magnificent sight to behold. Now, knowing that they couldn't simply stash it somewhere, they came up with a plan. They decided to cover the magnificent statue with mud and rocks and bricks and stone, concealing it in plain sight. And by the time they were done, it looked like a small rolling hill in the center of their village. So just as they finished, the invaders came and ransacked the village. Seeing as they couldn't find anything of significant value, they pushed through, moving on to the next town. While the monks were fearful that the marauders might someday return, they vowed to never speak of the beautiful golden statue ever again. And decades came and went, and all of the monks who knew of the statue had passed away. Until one day, a young monk was walking through the center of the town after a particularly heavy rainstorm, and his eye caught on a tiny flashing, shining thing on the side of the small hill in the town. Kind of confused and intrigued, he approached the hill and inspected the small, shining bit and noticed that it was lodged in the mud. So he began to pick away at the dirt, trying to dig it out. And after a short while, others decided to join in and help him, seeing as the large amount of gold was being discovered. So they worked and worked until finally they removed all of the stone, all of the bricks, all of the mud, all of the rocks, revealing this beautiful, truly magnificent golden Buddha statue. Everyone was in complete awe, having realized they didn't know for so many decades that they had been living with this beautiful statue all along. And with that, I ask you to consider, how have you allowed the just and the small to cover your magnificence? And when you pause and call your magnificence to mind, how does that make you feel? And finally, what are you going to do about it? Thank you so much for checking us out today, and I invite you to come with me. I invite you to shine bright. Come back and check out the upcoming episodes where I will be bringing in guests who have various experiences and understanding. We'll be talking with professionals and scholars and masters of their field and everyday people who will share with you their insight and inspire with their stories and ignite your passion so that you too can shine. In the meantime, if you have any questions or would like to share your thoughts on anything we discussed today, feel free to reach out to me or drop it in the comments below. Until then, we'll see you soon.